What is up, my homos and homettes? Thank you for joining me on this fine, chilly, cool, crisp summer evening. Um, Tonight's topic is going to be you should pick up an art form. To be specific about what I mean by that is you should pick up an intentional, expressive medium. And that can range from anything like these videos, say as an art form. I'm intentional about the way they're created. Even if it doesn't seem it, I do choose to record them in this fashion because I want to make it feel personal, sort of natural. Um, and so, while it's not high art, it is still an art form. And so you should pick up some form of an intentional, expressive medium. That could be sports, more classical art. You get a little more abstract with it, create collages on TikTok. You've seen those like Hope Core, Core, whatever videos. And that's kind of what I mean. So you should pick up an intentional, expressive medium. And there's a couple reasons for this, is that it, I would say, instills a sense of confidence and allows you to understand yourself. And so, to start on it instills confidence, I would say confidence comes a lot from pride. I think it basically only stems from pride. That you have to have pride in yourself, pride in the clothes you wear, the way you walk, whatever. You get the general idea. And I think if you have pride in just something like an art form, I think that can extend over into your just day-to-day life. Like if it was sports or something, it's a little easier because you're improving your body and just generally that's what people like. So, picking up a sport would probably instill confidence and pride in yourself a little more than writing poems would, but I think both still do. Because it allows you to say that there's a reason for your being, that you are worthwhile, you do something, that the lowest points in my life were, or lowest points so far, were because there was nothing I had pride in. And so there was a question every morning I woke up and I just was like, why am I even here? What purpose do I serve? And, it's because I didn't do anything that I had pride for. So I felt as though that there was no reason for me to be there, for no reason to exist. Because I don't create anything. I don't prove anything. I don't prove a sense of worth. And through art, I think I've found that, like I said, these videos are kind of art form. And so through me creating these, maybe somebody listens to these, finds it helpful, or at least they enjoy the 20 or so minutes of me rambling. Maybe they didn't learn anything, but it's at least a pleasant 20 minutes. And that's worthwhile, that's valuable. So it gives me a reason to get up, to do these, to make art, pride, purpose, etc., etc. And so that's one reason I would say to pick up an art. And that usually does entail sharing it, but at your own pace. You don't have to share your art, because art can be inherently vulnerable, because transitioning to the next point, it helps you explore and understand yourself. And that is vitally important. I mean, you shouldn't function as a human being if you don't understand yourself, why you think certain ways, do certain things. I would say, obviously, you shouldn't psychoanalyze yourself 24/7, and that's not what I mean. It's more like the bigger things in your life. You get broken up with, when a family member dies, when you're lacking in confidence. Those are things you should work purposefully to understand about yourself. And it's really, really hard to do when you don't have a specific outlet for it. And for some people, just talking to somebody is enough. And I think that's true. That there's definitely times I've just had this weight on me of stress or anxiety, and I went to talk to a friend about it, and it all just went away, or at least most of it went away, because I had expressed myself. I had, through my talking to this friend, I found, a straight line of what my thought process is to share. To put it in a metaphor, I think. Yeah, anyways. You can think of it as your thoughts being a knotted up ball of yarn in your head. And when you put it down in this art form, you are straightening out the ball of yarn, and you are untangling it, straightening it out, because your mind, jumps around. It's a wild thing, and so there's no way you could fully understand it unless you try to straighten it out. You can't untangle it inside itself, so you have to put it out there. And so you can do that from talking to friends, a therapist, but I would say something a little cheaper than a therapist and more accessible than friends, because friends aren't going to be there 24/7, is art. And so, to give a specific example of my meaning, I like to write poems a lot of the time. And I like Old English, kind of Shakespearean sort of dialect. And that means that for me to write that way, to truly convey my emotions, because I'll write about just how I'm feeling. I'll write poems about how I'm feeling, or events that have happened to me. And to properly convey that, if I'm using these fantastical, real big words, not only do I expand my knowledge through having to learn what these big words mean, but also I have to understand myself to know if these words truly apply to me, if the words I'm using actually apply to my situation. And for me to be able to do that, I have to understand my situation. And so through writing poems, to create a poem, to finish it, I am forced to straighten my thoughts out, to understand my thoughts fully as they are, and then put it down in pen, in paper, in text, whatever. And to use that ball of yarn analogy, when you straighten out the yarn and pull it out of your brain through pen, through word, through whatever, it means the yarn's no longer with you. Well, of course, you're never gonna just forget about it, whatever's going on in your life, because you wrote a poem about it or made a Hope Core video on TikTok about it. But it does mean it will hold less permanence. Is that the word? Pertinence? It'll hold less of a spot in your mind. The fray and little tiny dust pieces of the yarn will stay and linger in your mind, but the full tangled knot and problem that yarn was will mostly be gone and be no longer with you. And that's real important. And so you should pick up an art form to allow yourself to express that, to understand yourself, and to not overthink. Because, like I said, if you try to untangle this knot inside your head, all you're going to do is tangle it more. If you stay inside your head, you're just going to overthink. And I know you've all felt that, had this person you wanted to ask out, and you thought of just about all the ways it could go wrong, and you just tangled this yarn in your head over and over again because you were just trying to figure out where it ends, and you could never find the answer. You just keep tangling and knotting and tangling, and it becomes a bigger thing than it is. You get stuck with the thought. So pick up an art, and there's a specific part of it that I want to nail home to you, of intentionality. That it's not just about picking up an art and doing it. It's also about being intentional about it. It's not just picking up an expressive medium. It's being intentional to share your emotion through said medium. Like this. I'll do this intentionally, not to share my feelings, but just because I do all this thinking and I need to express it. So I'm intentionally sharing this as a way of emptying out the thoughts in my brain, not the emotions, but the logical thoughts that linger on with me. And that's kind of where the intentionality comes in, is you have to make an express difference, purposeful choice about what the art means and what or why you're making it. I said earlier, something like a sport could be an art form. And that's true, and you might scoff at it as like, oh, no way, that could be art. You're just moving weight. And people who do go to the gym, you probably know what I'm talking about, that at least it is expressive. I know that I've had hard days and been really frustrated about what was going on in my life, and I just went to the gym and released out that energy, that latent energy into the weights. And that in one form does what I'm talking about, but I would say that's not intentional. That's more of a side effect of lifting weights. That's helpful, but it's not intentional. You're not intentionally doing that. It just happens when you lift weights. And so, what I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen these videos, but I have, where these guys will edit themselves or record themselves lifting weights. And similarly to those kind of core videos where it's a collage of related and unrelated but semi-related things, it's a way that they express themselves. And then they sorry, I got a little lost in thought. And so they make these collages of showing videos that relate, and then some that just kind of semi-relate to more of the feeling or vibe of them. And then they'll usually put a song over it, and they also edit the footage to what's the word? Elicit the emotion they're aiming for. And then they pick an audio that elicits an emotion they're aiming for. And usually the emotion is sadness. It's you know, my girl broke up with me. My lady don't want me no more. I see a lot of them with Arthur Morgan. His lover being like, "Oh, Arthur, I know you may not receive this letter," and whatever the rest of that is. And so that's what I'm talking about when I say intentional. That when you pick up this expressive medium, you have to be intentional about it. You can't just do it, you know? You have to choose what you want it to say, what you want it to mean, and then do that purposefully. Because, maybe using something a little more relatable or easier to understand. Let's say you picked up painting. You could go paint a lake, and that means nothing. You know, it might be calming and relaxing to do it, and you might enjoy it. And that's all worthwhile, that's all good, that's all meaningful. But in terms of actual self-understanding, that was nothing. You just painted a lake, it's a lake. Yeah, that's nothing. But if you go about it with intentionality of making it more abstract, or use of color and lighting and all of that, that's what makes worthwhile, not only worthwhile art, but personally worthwhile art. So, intentionality. And if I could kind of go off, I think I've made my point about the art. I think also, generally speaking, you should try your hardest to be intentional about everything in life. Because I think it's, you know what, we're transitioning topics. You should pick up an art form because it gives you purpose, a sense of worth, and it allows you to understand and dive within yourself more than anything else in your life could. Or at least more obsessive, more readily. You get the point. Pick up an art form, or more specifically, pick up an intentional expressive medium. Now, what I want to jump to is you should live your life intentionally. And I know that sounds sort of meaningless, yeah, duh, sort of thing. But I know personally, There was definitely a time I never did. And when you really think about it, I think a lot of people don't. I mean, you probably don't in ways you don't even realize. I think the most explicit way to convey this message is like, think about when you were younger, that you didn't do much anything intentionally because, because you didn't exactly have a choice in the matter. You just, you ate what was served to you. You put on the clothes you were given. You played the games you were bought. That's an ambulance. That's like howling. And so you lived life unintentionally. Everything was decided for you, and maybe jump to a little older in age, middle school to early years of high school. I know in my personal experience that I didn't, to hone in, I didn't really think about the clothes. Excuse you, man. I'm trying to... Alright, dude. Calm down. Oh, anyways. What's his problem? I can't make a video at 10 a.m. 10 p.m. Come on. Anyways, to hone in on one concept, I never wore clothes with any intentionality. I just never did. It was basically just like, oh, is it hot today? I'm gonna wear the shorts I have and the first t-shirt I grab. Oh, it's cold today? Let me grab a actually I didn't have any actual pants. Let me grab shorts and a long sleeve. And I didn't try to match them, any colors or any, in any way. I didn't try to make them work. And I remember this came to a head, to a peak, sophomore year, that it was a particularly cold day, and I had no jackets, no sweatshirts, no hoodies, nothing. And I had like a breakdown because I was so nervous. I was so insecure about how I was going to look. Walking around in just like a t-shirt, it's freezing outside, or wearing this stupid jacket that doesn't fit me, or it's too big, or whatever. Self-conscious about that, and I really hated it. And so I went, that day after school, I bought a bunch of clothes. Actually, not really that much. I bought a tracksuit, a black Nike tracksuit, the infamous one, if you've known me long enough. And that was slightly more intention, I thought it looked good. I liked how it hung on me. I liked how it felt. I was intentionally wearing that, but then eventually I again fell into insecurity, and I just started wearing that every day. And again, no intention. Didn't matter what the weather was or what was going on. That's what I put on in the morning. And so I lived without intention. And when I say all this, I will make it clear, you shouldn't feel bad about living unintentionally, because it's a real struggle to do otherwise. I still have to fight against it, because it's easier to just do whatever is comfortable, whatever is simplistic, easy. A more recent example of my decision to live life intentionally is, I guess I'm talking about this all through the purview of clothes, but it's with the summer. I had been, a little more recluse. The only real times that I would go out would be if I was going out to work, or if I was going to the gym. And in both ways, I didn't live with any sense of, I didn't go about them intentionally. That at work, I had a uniform. So my only real choice in terms of physical appearance is just the pants and shoes I wear, and I guess glasses. And then with the gym, I didn't care. So when I would walk there, I'd just throw on pajama bottoms and a shirt, and have the clothes I was going to work out in stuffed in my bag. And after I switched to those clothes, and those clothes weren't thought out with any intentionality. They were just shirt and shorts. Maybe I would color match them by just like black and black. Most of my shorts are black, so it wasn't that hard to match them. And then I would just, after the workout, change back into the pajamas. And I just, I realized that this can tie back into pride here. We're going back. But that I had no pride in the clothes I wore because I didn't go about wearing them with any intention. I just put on the clothes I saw, and when you walk down the street, cars drive by you, and I knew they saw me, and I realized that I don't think I look bad, but I knew I didn't look as good as I could be because I wasn't in a good-looking outfit. And so now, every time I leave the house, save for my job, I put on not crazy outfits. I mean, I have a shirt and jeans on right now, but it's you can't see it. It's it's a crop t-shirt, women's, I think, because I'm just so cool like that. But a women's cropped kind of dark blue tee. Oh, it's a cat. Women's cropped dark blue tee, and then oversized light blue jeans. And to a point, there's still some unintentionality in my decision because I didn't really think about how the belt affects the outfit, or the shoes, or the glasses, but those are a little more minor. They still look good, and I'd still, honestly, given a range of choices, would probably still pick what I'm wearing now. But the general outfit was picked with intention. And so through that choice of intentionally choosing these clothes, it makes me, one sec. It makes me feel a lot better about myself, a lot more confident. That I'm walking down the street and I see people look at me, I'm not ashamed of myself, I'm not covering myself because I know I intentionally did this, I look good. And I guess that's more confidence than anything, but to get a little broader, to not hang up on, clothes, get it? To not hang up on clothes as much, talk a little broader. you probably don't live your life with really much any intentionality in anything you do. That when it comes lunchtime, when it comes to your meals are such a, sorry to sound fucking huge here, but meals, best part of the day. Seriously. I love dinner. I love breakfast. I love lunch. I love eating. I love the experience of eating, of having hot food, like dinner time. Having hot food, filling hot food after a nice hard day, and cold Dr. Pepper with it. And, you know, it's just a beautiful experience. And then the actual eating experience, eating the food, the mouthfeel, the taste, all of it. It's wonderful. I love it. I indulge in it every time. Because you should. There are things in life that are pleasurable that you do on an everyday basis, and you rob yourself of that pleasure because you don't go about them intentionally. I want you to think about your meals. How many times are meals that you have, one sec, I don't know what's going on. I think I just had a little burp stuck in my throat. Think about all the meals you've had recently, and how many of those were like intentional, or what you really wanted. I would bet a rare few. And so it's exactly what I'm talking about, that meals, food, it's a small pleasure that you get every single day, and you choose not to enjoy them because you just do what's easiest. You just eat unintentionally. You know, that's not to say that you should eat fucking 10 burgers for dinner, 20 sleeves of Oreos, and just go fucking crazy, but you're doing it intentionally. It's more to be like, it's more to say your meals should be intentional. That it doesn't mean indulging in extremely unhealthy food. It just means making a purposeful choice to do something you enjoy. And I think that extends out to your entire life. That, the music you listen to, you put on a playlist of songs you already know you like, and you don't really intake them or indulge in them. They're just there. You just play them. You aren't intentionally listening to them or understanding them. You're just playing them. You're listening to them, you're not hearing them. Or you're not hearing them, but you're hearing them, but you're not listening to them. And this is a hard thing to do, and you should never beat yourself up about it, because you physically cannot live your entire life, every aspect of your life, intentionally and like 100% in the moment. I can't imagine that's terribly healthy. It's sort of really hard to do, but you should try to live most of your life intentionally, doing things you enjoy, being present, being purposeful in what you do. Again, it's just sort of this idea of these minor pleasures that you have in life that you're going to rob yourself of every day if you don't do it intentionally. If you go to the gym unintentionally, you're probably not going to have a good workout. You're probably just going to throw weight around for no reason, and you're not going to feel like you did anything when you're done. If you wake up and put on music just because it was the first thing, Spotify recommended to you, you're probably not going to like it. You're probably just going to not even think about it. And music's awesome. And you're depriving yourself of it. And the same thing with meals. You wake up in the morning and you just grab a bagel, smear a little cream cheese on it, because that's what's easy, and takes no thought to give an example of what I'm doing. And I was thinking about this, and I was questioning if I live intentionally with my breakfasts. And I was questioning if I did, because I have the exact same breakfast every morning, and it's 4 eggs with a little bit of cheese, protein shake, and 4 scrambled eggs, salt, pepper, cheese, and a protein shake. And I was thinking, like, well, is that intentional, or am I just doing that because it's easy? And I would say it's intentional from a bit of a habit now, but it's still an intentional habit, because I want to have a protein-heavy breakfast. I like eggs. I specifically like them scrambled, so I have them scrambled. I like cheese. I don't really care to have any more seasoning than salt and pepper, because you really don't need it for eggs. And in the and you might say that, like, the protein drink might be a little less intentional, but I intend to build muscle. So that's what I mean when I say it doesn't exactly have to be like, just one sec. It doesn't have to be overindulgence and pleasure to be intentional. I don't love the taste of protein shakes, but they're not bad. But it feels good to know that I'm working towards that. Drinking those protein shakes help me work towards a goal that I like. So I enjoy those. And so that's a way of having intentionality that isn't indulging deeply in pleasure, that you're intentional in other ways than enjoying yourself. And even then, I'll get a protein shake, and then I'll grab a diet or a zero sugar soda, and I enjoy those. So that's me enjoying my meal. So I was to say, live as many aspects of your life as you can intentionally, because I bet you'll be a happier person for it, because you probably just don't realize how unintentional you're living, how day-to-day robotic you are, and how many of your earthly pleasures you're robbing yourself of because you are just living thoughtlessly through your life. I guess you can also just think of this as stop and smell the roses to an extent, but I think it's a little more specific to say live intentionally than enjoy the small moments, but they're a little hand in hand. I think living intentionally leads to enjoying the small moments, because you're aware of the small moments because you've intentionally created them. Anyways, I've been talking for a while. I might split this into 2 videos to be a little easier to watch, but I may also not give a shit enough to do that. So I think I've made my point. you should pick up an art form because it'll help you understand yourself, give you pride, give you confidence. And it's something you can do intentionally. And to that end, you should live every part of your life, or as much of your life as you can, intentionally. Thank you. Oh, and maybe I'll make this a part of this, but I recommended Instrumentals, the album by Adrian Lenker, yesterday, or not yesterday, but the last video. Tonight's recommendation is going to be Solo Monk by Thelonious Monk. It's a jazz album, just him playing the piano, and it's it's what's been scoring this entire conversation, this entire rambling, this yapping. It's a beautiful album. Deeply recommended. Personal favorite off the album is going to be I'm Confessing, parentheses, that I love you. So, listen to that. Good night.